Set in the snowy American town of Winterdale, our Christmas story follows 5 friends: Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson, who uncover a mysterious letter hinting at a forgotten holiday tradition capable of saving their struggling community. As they race against time to revive the town's fleeting Christmas spirit, they discover secrets about friendship, courage, and the true meaning of giving. Their journey blends heartfelt moments, light humor, and classic American holiday charm, forming the foundation for a 15-chapter adventure that grows deeper, brighter, and more magical with every challenge they face. This premise sets the stage for an inspiring Christmas tale. Winterdale, a small, snowy town tucked between pine-covered hills, used to shine brighter than any place in America during Christmas season. Every December, the streets glowed with lights, carolers filled the air with music, and the famous Winterdale Christmas Festival attracted visitors from across the country. But this year, something felt missing, like someone had quietly turned down the volume on the town's joy. Snow still covered the rooftops, wreaths still hung from windows, and holiday banners still waved in the chilly wind. But the spirit behind it all had faded. Businesses struggled, families moved away, and the festival, once the heartbeat of Winterdale, had been canceled 3 years in a row. No one felt the change more than Ethan Carter, an 18-year-old who had spent his whole life in Winterdale. He walked down Maple Street with a hot coffee warming his hands, watching the empty sidewalks and dark shop windows. He remembered when these streets were full of life, kids laughing, parents shopping, lights dancing across the snow. Now it all looked tired. His phone buzzed with a message from Harper Sinclair. Emergency meeting at Winter Point Cafe. And Ethan, don't be late. He smiled despite the cold. Harper, his best friend since 7th grade, loved dramatic announcements. She was bold, clever, and stubborn. 3 things Winterdale needed desperately right now. Ethan pushed open the cafe door. The smell of cinnamon rolls and roasted coffee washed over him. At a corner booth sat Harper, waving at him urgently. Her blonde hair was tied in a messy ponytail, her cheeks rosy from the cold. Beside her sat Mason Brooks, quiet and thoughtful, reading a thick book as usual. Across from him was Chloe Ramirez, tapping her nails impatiently against the table. Next to Chloe lounged Jackson Reed, boots resting on the seat, wearing a grin that suggested he was already bored. "You're late," Harper announced. "By 2 minutes. That's still late," Chloe muttered. Jackson laughed. "Relax, he's only late if he gets here after Harper finishes complaining." Harper ignored him. "Guys, this is serious. I just found out something huge. The Winterdale Christmas Festival has been canceled." Everyone froze. Mason closed his book slowly. "I thought they might try to bring it back this year." Harper shook her head. "No. Mayor Collins says the town doesn't have the budget or the interest, and he's shutting down the Christmas committee for good." Chloe frowned deeply. "Winterdale without a Christmas festival isn't Winterdale anymore." Ethan stared at the table, remembering the festival he grew up with. His grandparents had helped build the festival's traditions: handmade lanterns, the tree lighting ceremony, the big parade. Losing it felt like losing a piece of his family. "So what do we do?" Jackson asked finally, "because sitting here depressed isn't going to help." Harper's eyes lit up. "Actually, I have a plan. A weird one, but a plan." Chloe groaned. "Please don't say it involves breaking into someplace." "It's not breaking in. It's exploring." Jackson leaned in. "Exploring what?" "The old Winterdale Library," Harper whispered dramatically. Mason raised his eyebrow. "The one that's been closed for years?" "Exactly," Harper said. "See, all the town's early documents and traditions were stored there before the new library opened. Some of them never got transferred." Ethan frowned. "And you think something in that library can save the festival?" "I think," Harper replied, "that Winterdale's Christmas spirit didn't just disappear, it was forgotten.
and the answers are sitting in that building collecting dust. Jackson stretched his arms. Well, this sounds like the start of either a great adventure or a terrible one. I'm in. Chloe sighed but smiled. Fine, let's go. Better than doing nothing. The old library stood at the edge of town, wrapped in vines and silence. The stained glass windows were cracked, the once grand entrance now creaking with age. This place is creepy, Chloe whispered. It's historical, Mason corrected gently. Jackson pushed open the heavy door, and it groaned loudly, echoing through the empty halls. Inside, dusty bookshelves stretched across the room like frozen forests. Fallen pages littered the floor. Sunlight slipped through broken shutters, illuminating the dust like tiny floating stars. They spread out, searching the archive section. Ethan drifted toward a corner filled with boxes labeled Town History and Festival Records. Then Harper called out, "Guys, over here!" They hurried to her side. She held a dusty metal box with faded gold letters that read, Winterdale Festival, Origins. Mason's eyes widened. This could be something valuable. Harper opened the box carefully. Inside were old photographs, handwritten notes, newspaper clippings, and one blue envelope sealed with gold wax. Chloe raised an eyebrow. Whoa, that looks official. Harper read the front. To the future keepers of Winterdale. Sounds like a movie, Jackson said. Open it. Harper cracked the seal and unfolded a beautifully handwritten letter. To those who find this, Winterdale was built on a promise that every generation would guard the spirit of hope, unity, and giving. When the festival fades, seek the 12 lights of wonder. Restore them, and Winterdale will shine again. Mason took the letter, studying the ink. This must be from Samuel Winterdale, the founder. His writing matches what I've seen in the museum. Chloe blinked. The 12 lights of wonder? What is that? Harper smiled. A challenge. Jackson cracked his knuckles. A Christmas treasure hunt? I like that. There was more inside the envelope. A map. Old, yellowed, drawn by hand, 12 symbols were scattered across different parts of Winterdale. Ethan felt a small spark stir inside him. Hope. Maybe this is what we've been waiting for. Harper nodded. We're going to restore these lights, whatever they are, and we're going to bring the festival back. As they turned to leave, a sudden gust of wind blew through a broken window and knocked over a stack of books. One small journal slid to their feet. Ethan picked it up. The front read, Samuel Winterdale, Personal Journal. Inside the cover was a single line. To those who follow, trust the lights. They will guide you. Ethan looked at his friends, heart pounding with excitement. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't coincidence. This was the beginning. Harper grinned. Winterdale may have lost its spirit, but we're going to bring it back. Ethan nodded. Together. They stepped out of the old library with the map, the letter, and the journal, ready to begin something none of them fully understood yet. But deep in their hearts, they knew one thing. Christmas wasn't over. Not yet.
The cold December wind brushed against Ethan's face as he and his friends walked down the snowy sidewalk, the old map carefully tucked inside his jacket to protect it from the weather. The discovery at the abandoned library had changed something inside all of them. Winterdale still looked tired and worn, but now there was a spark, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, the town wasn't as hopeless as it seemed. Harper walked beside Ethan, her boots crunching loudly through the snow. Okay, she said, her breath forming a misty cloud. We need to figure out where the first symbol on the map is. Mason, who had been examining the folded map like it was a rare artifact from a museum, cleared his throat. The first symbol looks like a lantern, he said, and it's placed near the northwest corner of town, near the river. Jackson stopped walking. The river? You mean Frostbend Creek? The one that freezes every year? Yep, Mason replied. Chloe wrapped her scarf tighter. Why would something important be hidden near a frozen creek? Harper shrugged. Maybe the founder liked the view. Jackson smirked. Or maybe he wanted to make sure only crazy people like us would go look for it. The group turned onto Willow Creek Road, the same road that led to the old library, but they took a different direction this time, down the path that wound toward Frostbend Creek. Snow-covered pine trees stood tall on each side, forming a white tunnel. Ethan felt a strange excitement building in his chest. For the first time in years, he felt like Winterdale had a chance. "How far is it, Mason?" Harper asked. "A few more minutes," Mason replied. "It should be right past the bend in the trail." They continued walking until the trees opened into a small clearing. Frostbend Creek stretched in front of them, frozen solid, reflecting the pale winter sky. Ice shimmered across the surface like glass. "This place is beautiful," Chloe whispered. Ethan nodded. "I used to come here with my grandparents. We'd skate on the river until sunset." Jackson stepped on the ice and slid around dramatically. "Well, some things never change. I'm still a skating champion." "You skated into a trash can last year," Harper reminded him. "That trash can came out of nowhere," Jackson argued. Mason ignored their bickering and pointed to a cluster of old wooden benches near a small frozen bridge. "The symbol is somewhere close to that area." The group approached the benches, brushing away layers of snow. Ethan noticed something odd. A small stone pillar only a foot tall, partly buried in snow. It looked hand-carved and much older than the benches. "Guys," Ethan said, kneeling beside it, "I think this is something." Chloe crouched beside him. "What is it?" "A marker," Mason answered, excitement in his voice. "I read about things like this. The founders used stone markers to identify important locations." Harper bent down and wiped the snow off the surface. Carved into the stone was the same lantern symbol from the map. "This is it," Harper whispered. Jackson leaned in closer. "Okay, but where's the actual light? Because I don't see anything glowing." Ethan pressed his hand against the stone, searching for a button, a latch, something. "There has to be more." Chloe looked around the area. "Maybe we need to dig." Jackson grinned. "Finally, something physical to do." He grabbed a fallen branch and started digging through the snow near the stone. Harper joined him, brushing snow away with her gloved hands. After a few minutes, Chloe gasped, "Wait, there's something here." Buried beneath the snow was an old wooden box, small and carefully crafted. The wood was cracked with age, but the brass latch was still intact. Harper lifted it gently. "This must be what the founder left for us." Ethan's heart thumped with anticipation as Harper opened the box. Inside was a small glass lantern, delicate, beautifully designed, and glowing faintly with a soft golden light. Chloe blinked. Is that real? It's glowing." Jackson took a step back. "Okay, either this thing is magical or someone put a tiny battery inside." Mason shook his head. "There's no battery. This lantern is at least 100 years old." Harper held the lantern carefully. The glow was warm but not bright, like the light of a single candle. "A light of wonder," Harper whispered. Ethan stared at it, mesmerized. This must be the first one of the 12 lights. Inside the box was also a small note folded neatly under the lantern. Ethan picked it up and read aloud. "To restore what has been lost, return each light to where the festival was born. Only then will the spirit rise again." Harper's eyes widened. "The town square. The festival always started there." Mason nodded. "Which means we need to return this lantern to the square. And once we find all 12, something important will happen." Chloe looked at the glowing lantern in awe. "This is really happening, isn't it?" Ethan smiled. "Yeah, it is." But before they could celebrate, a sudden cracking sound split the air. Crack! Jackson jumped back. "What was that?" They all looked toward the frozen creek. A long crack spread across the ice, zigzagging dangerously close to where Jackson had been skating earlier. "We need to go," Ethan said quickly. "The ice isn't safe anymore." Harper tucked the lantern back into the box and held it tightly. The group hurried away from the clearing and back onto the main path. Once they were safely away from the creek, Chloe finally spoke. "Why did the ice suddenly crack? It wasn't warm today." Mason frowned.
I don't know, but something about this isn't random. Harper glanced down at the glowing lantern. Maybe finding the first light woke something up. Ethan felt a chill run through him, not from the cold, but from the mystery growing around them. Whatever they had started, it was bigger than they thought. Much bigger. "Let's get this lantern somewhere safe," Ethan said. "Tomorrow, we begin searching for the second light." Harper nodded firmly. "We're officially on a mission now." As they headed back toward town, snow began to fall gently around them, covering their footprints. And far behind them, in the silent clearing by Frostbend Creek, the crack in the ice widened just a little more, like the earth itself was reacting to an old magic awakening after a century of sleep.
The next morning, Winterdale woke to a fresh blanket of snow. The town streets glittered under the weak December sun, but the heavy quiet that had settled over the town in recent years still lingered. Shops were open, but few customers wandered inside, and the usual Christmas chatter was missing. Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson met at Winter Point Cafe, the glowing lantern safely tucked in Ethan's backpack. The excitement from the day before had not faded. If anything, it had grown. Today they planned to figure out where the second light of wonder might be hidden. "So, we found the first one," Harper said, stirring her hot chocolate. "One down, 11 to go. Anyone have guesses about the second?" Jackson leaned back in his chair. "Hopefully it's somewhere warm this time. I'm tired of frostbite already." Chloe rolled her eyes. "You were fine yesterday until you tried to skate across the creek like a maniac." Mason studied the map again. "The second symbol looks like a star, and it's drawn near the old Winterdale Church, east of the town square. That area hasn't been used in decades, but historically it was a meeting place for the townspeople during Christmas." Ethan's face lit up. "Then it makes sense. The first light was at the river, where families gathered, the second, near the church, where the community celebrated together. It's like the founder left clues to guide us through the heart of Winterdale's past." Harper grinned. "Exactly. We're literally walking through history." The group bundled up and headed toward the church. Snow crunched under their boots, and the cold air made their cheeks pink. The church stood at the edge of a small hill, its steeple reaching toward the cloudy sky. Windows were frosted over, and the front doors were locked tight. A faded Christmas wreath hung crookedly on the entrance. "Looks like no one has been here in years," Chloe said. "I didn't even know this place existed anymore." Mason pushed the doors gently. "It's locked, but there's usually a side entrance around the back." They circled the building and found a small wooden door partly hidden by ivy. It creaked open after some effort. Inside, the church smelled of old wood and candle wax. Sunlight filtered through colored glass, casting faint patterns on the floor. Harper held the lantern up, and its glow reflected off the stained glass, making the room look warmer than it actually was. "This place is amazing," Ethan whispered. "It's like stepping back in time." They explored carefully, noting the worn pews, dusty hymnals, and faded decorations. At the front of the church, Mason stopped suddenly. "Look at this." He pointed to a small alcove behind the altar. Inside was a stone pedestal, similar to the one they had found at Frostbend Creek. Etched into the surface was the star symbol from the map. "Could it be that easy?" Jackson asked. "Nothing is ever easy," Harper said. She bent down and felt along the sides of the pedestal. Her fingers pressed against a hidden latch. With a soft click, a compartment opened, revealing a small wooden box. Inside the box was another glowing light, this one shaped like a star. The warm golden glow filled the alcove. Alongside the star was a folded note. "The second light shines, where people gather to share hope. Place it where the festival begins, and the path will grow brighter." Chloe looked at the group. "Place it where the festival begins. That's the town square, right?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, that makes sense. The first light came from the river, the second from the church. It's leading us to the center of the town, the heart of Winterdale's past." Harper grinned. "Exactly. We're literally walking through history." The group bundled up and headed toward the town square. Snow crunched under their boots, and the cold air made their cheeks pink.
The church stood at the edge of a small hill, its steeple reaching toward the cloudy sky. Windows were frosted over, and the front doors were locked tight. A faded Christmas wreath hung crookedly on the entrance. "Looks like no one has been here in years," Chloe said. "I didn't even know this place existed anymore." Mason pushed the doors gently. "It's locked, but there's usually a side entrance around the back." They circled the building and found a small wooden door partly hidden by ivy. It creaked open after some effort. Inside, the church smelled of old wood and candle wax. Sunlight filtered through colored glass, casting faint patterns on the floor. Harper held the lantern up, and its glow reflected off the stained glass, making the room look warmer than it actually was. "This place is amazing," Ethan whispered. "It's like stepping back in time." They explored carefully, noting the worn pews, dusty hymnals, and faded decorations. At the front of the church, Mason stopped suddenly. "Look at this." He pointed to a small alcove behind the altar. Inside was a stone pedestal, similar to the one they had found at Frostbend Creek. Etched into the surface was the star symbol from the map. "Could it be that easy?" Jackson asked. "Nothing is ever easy," Harper said. She bent down and felt along the sides of the pedestal. Her fingers pressed against a hidden latch. With a soft click, a compartment opened, revealing a small wooden box. Inside the box was another glowing light, this one shaped like a star. The warm golden glow filled the alcove. Alongside the star was a folded note. "The second light shines, where people gather to share hope. Place it where the festival begins, and the path will grow brighter." Chloe looked at the group. "Place it where the festival begins? That's the town square, right?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, that makes sense. The first light came from the river, the second from the church. It's leading us to the center of the town, the heart of Winterdale." Jackson picked up the lantern. "Well then, let's take it to the square and see what happens." Outside, the snow had started falling again. Flakes drifted lazily around them as they carried the star-shaped light toward the town square. The streets were empty, silent except for the crunch of snow beneath their boots. As they approached the square, they noticed something strange. A faint glow was emanating from the first lantern, the one Ethan had found by Frostbend Creek. The lights flickered as if reacting to the new star-shaped light in Harper's hands. Did the first light just... Chloe trailed off, amazed. "It's responding," Mason said softly. "The lights are connected. Each one activates when we discover another. This isn't just a scavenger hunt. It's magical." Harper looked around. "Okay, so the note said to place it where the festival begins. Let's put it on the town square's main stage." They approached the old wooden stage, dusted with snow. Carefully, Harper placed the star-shaped light beside the lantern from Frostbend Creek. The moment the lights touched the stage, something incredible happened. The two lights pulsed softly, then flared into a golden glow that spread outward across the square. Snowflakes sparkled as if lit from within, and the air felt warmer despite the winter cold. The worn benches, abandoned decorations, and empty streets suddenly seemed alive with energy, as if the town itself had awakened. Ethan's eyes widened. "Whoa! It's like Christmas magic is real." Chloe smiled, feeling the warmth in her chest. "It's beautiful. I haven't felt this excited in years." Mason studied the lights, fascinated. The founder was right. The lights guide us. They're restoring the town's spirit, one step at a time. Ethan looked around the square, imagining it full of people, music, laughter, and joy. If we can find all 12, Winterdale will be how it used to be, or even better. Harper nodded. "And that's our mission. 12 lights, 12 challenges, one town to save." And the magic was waiting. As the glow of the two lights continued to shine, a soft wind whispered through the square. It carried a faint melody, almost like distant carolers singing. The group paused, listening. It was faint, but unmistakable. The sound of Christmas, long forgotten, returning. Chloe shivered, smiling. "Do you hear that? It's like the town is singing with us." Jackson raised an eyebrow. "Or maybe it's just snow making weird noises." Mason chuckled. "No, this is different. The magic is real. I can feel it. Ethan held Harper's hand briefly, feeling the warmth of the moment. We're really doing this. We're restoring Winterdale. Harper smiled. And this is only the beginning. Tomorrow, we find the third light. Jackson groaned dramatically. Can't we just rest and enjoy the magic a little longer? Chloe laughed. Nope, adventure waits for no one. As they left the square, carrying the first 2 lights safely in Harper's backpack, the town seemed to hum softly around them. Snow swirled, lights twinkled faintly on the rooftops, and for the first time in years, Winterdale felt alive again. But far off, hidden in the shadows of an alley, someone, or something, watched the group. Eyes glinting in the dim winter light, it murmured under its breath. So, the chosen ones have begun. Let's see if they can finish what was started. The adventure had only just begun. 12 lights, 12 challenges, 1 town to save. And the magic was waiting.
The next morning, Winterdale woke to a crisp, sparkling winter day. Snowflakes drifted lazily from the gray sky, covering streets, rooftops, and trees in a soft, glittering blanket. The town square, now glowing with the 2 recovered lights of wonder, seemed almost alive. Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson met at the cafe again, buzzing with energy. The first 2 lights had been found and returned, and the effect on the town had been subtle but noticeable. Shopkeepers greeted them with warmer smiles, and a few children played outside, laughing in the snow. "Look at that," Harper said, pointing out the window. "Even the town is starting to wake up." Jackson grinned. Yeah, but we're not done yet. Third light, here we come. Where is it?" Mason unfolded the map carefully. The third symbol is a bell. According to the map, it's located in the old Winterdale Bell Tower, near the hill by Pinecrest Street. Chloe groaned. "I've passed that hill 100 times and never seen the bell tower. It's creepy looking too." Harper's eyes sparkled. "Perfect! Creepy places usually hide magical stuff. That's why it's perfect for a light of wonder." Ethan nodded. "All right, let's move. The faster we find it, the faster Winterdale comes alive again." The group bundled up in coats, scarves, and gloves, trekking through the fresh snow. Their breaths puffed in clouds and their boots crunched against the frozen streets. Harper led the way, glancing at the map every few steps. The bell tower loomed ahead, tall and imposing. Its bricks were weathered, its windows broken, and ivy climbed its sides. A faint metallic echo came from the top of the tower, wind against old iron, or perhaps something more mysterious. Jackson shivered. "Yep, creepy, definitely creepy." Chloe rolled her eyes. "Don't act scared, you're just dramatic." Mason studied the tower carefully. It said the founder built these towers in every key part of town. The bells were rung during festivals to call the community together. This one hasn't been used in decades, but if the third light is here, it makes sense. It's a historic gathering spot. Harper nodded. "Exactly. Let's find a way in." The main door was locked, but a side door, hidden behind an overgrown bush, creaked open under their combined effort. The interior smelled of aged wood and dust. Wooden beams lined the walls, and a steep staircase spiraled upward to the bell chamber. "Up we go," Harper said. "Careful, these stairs are old." They climbed slowly, the steps creaking under their weight. Halfway up, the narrow stairwell seemed to close in on them, shadows stretching along the walls. Ethan kept a hand on the railing, trying not to think about how high they were climbing. Finally, they reached a small landing below the bell chamber. Mason pointed to a heavy wooden door with faded carvings of bells and stars. "This has to be it," he said. Harper pushed it open slowly. Inside, the chamber was vast and circular. Sunlight filtered through broken windows, casting streaks across the floor. In the center stood a tall pedestal, topped with a silver bell, the bell symbol from the map etched in its base. Ethan's eyes widened. This has to be the light. Chloe walked closer, brushing her gloved hands along the pedestal. But where's the glow? The other lights actually shone. Jackson stepped up, eager to investigate. "Maybe we need to ring the bell?" Harper considered the idea. "It's worth a try."
She lifted the heavy clapper and gave the bell a cautious swing. Ding! The sound echoed through the tower, long and rich. And then something incredible happened. The bell vibrated and a golden light began to glow from inside it. Slowly, it spread upward, illuminating the chamber, bouncing off the windows and filling the room with warmth. Chloe gasped, "It's beautiful!" Mason nodded, smiling. The light responds to the sound. Each light of wonder is magical in its own way. This one is triggered by ringing the bell. Harper carefully lowered the light into a small box that had appeared beneath the pedestal, similar to the boxes for the first two lights. Ethan held the box, feeling the soft glow radiating from it. "We need to return this to the town square too, just like the first two." As they turned to leave, a sudden gust of wind slammed the tower door behind them. They froze, and the shadows in the room seemed to flicker strangely. "What was that?" Chloe whispered. Jackson shrugged. "Probably just the wind." But Mason frowned. "I don't think so. Look at the carvings on the walls. They're not just decorative. They seem active, like they're responding to the bell." Harper shivered. "The founders said these lights are connected to the town's history. Maybe this bell chamber has its own little magic to protect the light until it's ready to be moved." Ethan nodded. "Then let's not waste time. We need to get it back to the square before anything else happens." They carefully descended the spiral staircase, keeping a close eye on the glowing box. The bell's light seemed to pulse in rhythm with their footsteps. Outside, the snow had started falling heavier, the wind carrying the scent of pine. As they crossed the empty streets, Ethan noticed movement in the distance, a shadow flitting between buildings. He squinted, but it disappeared before he could make out any details. "Did anyone else see that?" he asked quietly. Harper nodded. "Yes, I think someone or something is watching us." Jackson frowned. "Great, just what we needed. A spy." Chloe hugged herself. "We should be careful. The lights might attract more than just townspeople." Mason added, "Agreed. Whatever magic is involved here, it's clearly not meant to be easy. Challenges are coming." Finally, they reached the town square. The first two lights still glowed faintly, warming the empty benches and streets. Harper carefully placed the bell-shaped light next to them. Immediately, all three lights pulsed together, brighter than before. The glow spread further, reaching nearby buildings. Shopkeepers' windows seemed to sparkle, and the faint hum of old Christmas carols echoed through the streets, almost as if the town remembered how to celebrate again. Ethan smiled. "It's working. The more lights we find, the stronger the magic gets." Chloe nodded. "Winterdale is waking up." Harper grinned. "And we're just getting started. 9 more to go." Jackson shook his head, pretending to be dramatic. 9? Are we sure we're not in some kind of Christmas-themed boot camp?" Mason laughed. "Better get used to it. The founder clearly wanted this to be a journey. Each light is a challenge, and we need to pass them all." As they left the square, the lights pulsing softly behind them, the wind whispered again, and somewhere in the shadows, eyes glinted in the dim winter light. "They found the bell," a voice murmured. "But the hardest challenges are yet to come." Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson had found their first real obstacle, and they had no idea what lay ahead. The path to restoring Winterdale's Christmas spirit had become more dangerous and more magical than they ever imagined.
The morning after the bell light was restored, Winterdale seemed subtly brighter. Even the usually grumpy shopkeepers were smiling, and a few children were building snowmen in the town square. The first 3 lights of wonder had begun to work their magic. But for Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson, there was no time to enjoy the small victories. "Fourth light," Harper said, unfolding the map over a cafe table. Her finger traced the path from the bell tower to a new symbol, a snowflake. "According to this, it's located in the Frostwood Forest, just beyond Pinecrest Street." Jackson groaned. "Frostwood Forest? That's big, and full of snow, and probably bears." Chloe rolled her eyes. "You're terrified of squirrels, Jackson. Bears aren't the problem." Mason studied the map intently. "The snowflake symbol is a little different from the others. Look, there's a pattern around it. Maybe it's a puzzle or a trap." Ethan frowned. "A trap?" "Not a physical one.
a magical one. The founder said each light would be protected. This one looks tricky. Well, we love tricky. Let's go. Bundled in winter coats and scarves, the group trudged through the snowy streets toward the forest. Frostwood's trees were thick and tall, their branches weighed down with snow. The air smelled of pine and winter, sharp and clean. After a short walk, they reached a clearing marked on the map. There, partially frozen in the center, was a shallow pond. The surface of the ice was smooth and glimmered with frost patterns that looked almost like snowflakes. "This has to be it," whispered Harper. "The snowflake light is here, somewhere on or under the ice." Ethan knelt by the edge of the pond. "It's frozen solid. How are we supposed to get it out?" Mason examined the patterns carefully. "Look at the shapes. They form a design. If we touch the right spots in order, the ice might reveal the light." Jackson groaned again. "Great, so we're about to play magical twister on a frozen pond?" Chloe laughed. "Better than your skating disaster yesterday." Mason studied the ice, tracing the snowflake patterns with her gloved finger. "It looks like a path. Follow it carefully. Step on the wrong part and who knows what will happen?" Ethan took a deep breath. "All right, let's do this together." Step by step, they walked across the icy pattern, their boots crunching softly. As they touched each designated spot, a faint glow appeared beneath the ice. The glow pulsed brighter with each correct step. Halfway across, the ice beneath Jackson's foot cracked loudly. He froze. That was close." "Keep going," Harper said calmly. "The pattern is still active." Mason held the map above the ice, guiding them. "Just a few more steps. Focus." Ethan felt the warmth of the first 3 lights in his backpack. Somehow their energy seemed to guide him, making the pattern easier to follow. Finally, they reached the center of the pond. A small crystal box was embedded in the ice, glowing faintly with a soft blue light, the snowflake-shaped light of wonder. Chloe bent down to inspect it. "It's beautiful, but how do we get it out?" Mason studied the box. "It's not physical strength. The founder's magic responds to belief and care. Place your hands together and focus on the light." The group huddled around the box, placing their gloved hands on it. Ethan closed his eyes. "We're restoring Winterdale. We believe in this. We believe in the lights." The blue glow intensified, spreading warmth through their hands and up their arms. Slowly, the ice cracked evenly around the box, lifting it gently into their hands without breaking. Harper smiled. It worked. Another light collected. Jackson let out a breath of relief. "Okay, that was way too intense, but pretty cool." Chloe nodded, still staring at the glowing box. "It's amazing. I feel like we're part of something bigger." Mason carefully examined the note inside the box. "Fourth light found by hearts united. Only together can the path to wonder be revealed. Return it to the square and the magic will grow." Harper tucked the snowflake light into the backpack alongside the other 3. "Let's get it back to the town square. The lights are stronger than ever now." As they trudged back through the forest, snow began to fall harder. Flakes twirled in the wind almost as if guiding their steps. But Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was following them. "Did anyone else feel that?" he whispered. Chloe looked around nervously. "I thought I saw shadows moving between the trees." Jackson scoffed. "Probably just squirrels or more bears." Mason's brow furrowed. "No, there's definitely something unusual here. The founder didn't make these challenges simple. There's likely a guardian of some kind." Harper nodded, gripping the backpack tightly. "Then we just need to stay alert. The lights are our priority. Whoever or whatever is out there, it won't stop us." They reached the town square just as dusk began to fall. The first 3 lights were still glowing faintly on the stage, illuminating the benches and buildings nearby. Harper carefully placed the snowflake light beside the others. Immediately, all 4 lights pulsed together. The glow spread wider than before, warming the streets, lighting windows, and even making the bare trees shimmer with a magical frost. For a brief moment, Winterdale looked like it had returned to the days of the festival at its peak. Ethan smiled. 4 down, 8 more to go. Chloe nodded, her eyes shining. I never thought a small town could feel this alive again. Harper looked around satisfied. We're doing more than collecting lights. We're restoring hope, tradition, and magic to the town. Jackson pretended to be exhausted. And I'm going to need a nap after this magical boot camp. Mason chuckled. The journey isn't over yet. The next light will be harder. I can feel it. As the friends left the square, the wind whispered through the trees and buildings, carrying a faint melody of Christmas carols. Far off, a shadowy figure watched from a distance. The voice murmured, "They've reached the 4th light, but the true test begins with the next." The adventure had grown more dangerous, and the magic more powerful. Winterdale's fate was no longer uncertain. It depended on 5 determined friends and the challenges yet to come.
The morning after retrieving the snowflake light, Winterdale seemed even brighter. The streets sparkled with fresh snow, shop windows glimmered, and small groups of children played in the town square. The first 4 lights of wonder had begun to revive the town, but Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson knew their mission was far from over. "All right," Harper said, unfolding the map on a cafe table. "We've got the first 4 lights. The 5th symbol looks like a candle, and it's marked in the old Winterdale Cemetery near Oakwood Hill." Jackson groaned. "Creepy? Are we serious? Creepy, creepy, creepy." Chloe rolled her eyes. "It's part of the adventure. Stop whining." Mason studied the map carefully. The cemetery was historically used for town memorials during winter festivals. The candle symbol makes sense. It represents remembrance and light in the darkness. But based on the map, this light may have a guardian. Ethan frowned. "A guardian?" "Yes," Mason said, his voice calm but serious. "The founder warned that some lights are protected. The 5th light may not be easy to take." Harper squared her shoulders. "Then we're ready. We've faced tricky paths and magical puzzles already. This is just the next challenge." Bundled in heavy coats and scarves, the group trudged through freshly fallen snow toward Oakwood Hill. Frosted trees lined the path, and the air smelled of pine and winter chill. As they approached the cemetery gates, a heavy silence fell over them. The usually quiet town felt eerily still, as if it were holding its breath. The gates creaked as Harper pushed them open. Snow crunched under their boots as they walked along the winding paths between tombstones. The 5th symbol on the map marked a spot at the center of the cemetery, near a large old mausoleum. "There," Mason said, pointing. "That's where the candle light should be." As they approached, the wind picked up suddenly, swirling snow in sharp gusts. The temperature seemed to drop further. From behind the mausoleum, a figure emerged, a tall, cloaked shape, shimmering faintly in the snow. Jackson whispered, I don't think this is just a person." Chloe grabbed Harper's arm. "It's moving on its own." The figure stopped a few feet away. In one hand it held a staff topped with a glowing orb. Its other hand hovered over the ground as if sensing their presence. A low melodic hum echoed through the cemetery. Mason stepped forward cautiously. This must be the guardian. The 5th light is protected by magic, not just a puzzle. Harper squared her shoulders. "We're here to restore the light, not to fight. Let's try talking first." "Guardian of the 5th light, we mean no harm. We are here to restore the lights of wonder to Winterdale. Please allow us to take the light." The figure tilted its head, and the orb pulsed in response. A voice, soft but commanding, filled the air. "Many seek the light, but few are worthy. To pass, you must prove your unity and courage."
Ethan looked at his friends. Unity and courage. That's easy for us. Chloe whispered, we'll have to show it, not just say it. The guardian raised its staff, and the ground in front of them froze instantly, forming a translucent maze of ice. The paths twisted and turned, lined with glowing frost. At the center of the maze, they could see a faint flicker, the candle-shaped light. Jackson groaned. Great, now we're in some kind of magical frozen labyrinth, just what I needed. Harper turned to the group. We have to work together, step by step, no one goes alone. The maze was tricky. Every wrong step created walls of ice, forcing them to retrace their path. But by communicating, combining Mason's knowledge of patterns and Harper's careful observations, they managed to navigate deeper into the labyrinth. At one point, a section of ice formed a slippery bridge over a chasm. Ethan led the way, carefully placing his boots to avoid falling. Chloe followed, steadying herself with Mason's guidance. Jackson's confidence made him reckless, and he nearly slipped, but Harper grabbed his arm just in time. Finally, they reached the center of the maze. The candle-shaped light floated above a small pedestal, its golden flame shimmering even in the cold. The guardian appeared beside it, hovering silently. You have reached the center, but only if your hearts are true will the light be yours. Ethan stepped forward and held out his hands. We're here together. We believe in Winterdale and we believe in each other. Chloe, Harper, Mason, and Jackson placed their hands on his, creating a circle. The light pulsed brighter, reacting to their unity. Slowly, it descended into a small box at their feet, glowing warmly. The guardian nodded. You have proven your courage and unity. The fifth light is yours. Remember, only by working together can the path be completed. The maze dissolved instantly, leaving them standing in the center of the cemetery. Snow swirled around them as if celebrating. The guardian faded into the morning mist, leaving behind a sense of calm and protection. Ethan listed the box containing the candlelight. We did it. 5 down, 7 to go. Chloe smiled. That was intense. I didn't think we'd make it through that maze. Jackson laughed, pretending to wipe sweat from his brow. Unity and courage. Yeah, we nailed that one. Now, can we get some cocoa before the 6th light? Mason chuckled. We need to stay focused. The challenges will only get harder. The founder clearly wanted to test both heart and mind. Harper tucked the 5th light safely into the backpack with the others. Let's get it back to the town square. The more lights we return, the stronger Winterdale becomes. As the friends left the square, their footprints glittered in the snow and the lights pulsed softly behind them. Far off in the shadows of the woods, a figure watched silently, its eyes gleaming with interest. They've overcome the guardian, but the trials ahead will demand more than courage and unity. They must be ready for the darkness that follows. Winterdale's magic was awakening, and the real challenges were just beginning.
The town of Winterdale gleamed in the early morning sun. The first 5 lights of wonder, river lantern, church star, bell, and candle, cast a warm, magical glow across the streets and rooftops. The snow sparkled in golden light, and even the bare trees seemed to shimmer with newfound energy. Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson met at the cafe again, ready to pursue the 6th light. The map they had recovered from the old library lay spread across the table. The 6th symbol is a snowflake inside a circle, Mason said, pointing. It's located at the old Winterdale Observatory atop Starview Hill. Chloe's eyes widened. The observatory? That place has been abandoned for decades, and it's freezing up there. Jackson groaned. Great, more snow, more cold, more frozen feet. Harper rolled her eyes. We've faced worse. Remember the bell tower and the ice maze. Come on, we've got this. Ethan nodded. Then let's go. The sooner we find the 6th light, the stronger the magic becomes. The climb to Starview Hill was steep, and snow swirled around them, whipping against their faces. The observatory,
A tall cylindrical building with cracked windows and a rusted dome emerged from the winter mist like a forgotten relic. Mason studied the map carefully. The light should be somewhere inside, but the symbol suggests it's protected, probably with a riddle or puzzle. Harper pushed the creaking door open. Inside, the observatory was dark, dusty, and filled with old telescopes, broken furniture, and stacks of ancient star charts. The smell of aged wood and metal filled the air. Jackson stepped cautiously. Great, creepy, and cold. Just perfect. Chloe nudged him. Stop complaining. Focus. We need the sixth light. They explored the observatory, finally finding a large circular room beneath the dome. In the center stood a pedestal with a frosted crystal on top. Etched into the pedestal were words. I am not the sun, yet I light the night. I guide the lost, but remain in sight. What am I? Ethan read it out loud. A riddle. The sixth light is protected by a riddle. Mason stroked his chin. Let's think. Not the sun, but lights the night, guides the lost, remains in sight. It has to be something visible in the sky at night. Harper nodded slowly. Stars. The answer is a star. Jackson groaned. Seriously? That was easy. Chloe laughed. Not so fast. That's just the first part. We need to see if it unlocks the light. Harper touched the pedestal carefully and whispered, Star. We seek the star. The crystal atop the pedestal began to glow faintly. Then, a holographic projection of constellations appeared in the air above them, shimmering like magic. The constellations shifted, forming a pattern that pointed toward the northeast corner of the observatory. Ethan frowned. It looks like we have to follow the pattern to reach the light. Mason nodded. It's a magical star map. The founder designed it to test observation skills and attention to detail. We need to step on the correct tiles or platforms following the constellation pattern. Harper led the way, stepping carefully along the platforms marked with faint star symbols. Ethan followed, then Chloe, Mason, and finally Jackson, who kept joking nervously about falling into a magical trap. Step by step, they followed the pattern, their movements synchronized. The crystal atop the pedestal pulsed brighter as they progressed. Finally, they reached a circular platform in the center. There, floating above a small box, was the sixth light of wonder, another glowing snowflake, this one shimmering with icy blue magic. Chloe gasped, It's beautiful and cold. Ethan held the box carefully, feeling warmth despite the icy glow. One more light for the town square. Before they could leave, the projection of the stars shifted again, forming another riddle. Only those who see with more than eyes will carry me where true wonder lies. Trust in heart, in friends, in light, and Winterdale's magic will shine bright. Harper smiled. The light responds to more than just solving a puzzle. It responds to belief, unity, and intention, just like the other lights. Jackson shook his head, pretending to be dramatic. Great. So we have to feel magic to pass. Easy peasy. Mason examined the glowing crystal. Let's try together, as we've done before. They formed a circle around the light, placing their hands lightly on the box. Each friend focused on Winterdale, on the town square, on the joy and magic they wanted to restore. Slowly, the crystal floated into the box, glowing brighter than before. The observatory trembled slightly, as if acknowledging their success. The projection of stars faded, leaving the room bathed in a soft blue glow. Ethan smiled. 6 down, 6 to go. Halfway there. Chloe laughed softly. Halfway to saving Christmas. Jackson pretended to swoon. Halfway through magical boot camp and freezing our toes off. Harper tucked the sixth light into the backpack with the others. The town is already feeling the effects. Winterdale is waking up more with every light we return. As they left the observatory, the snowstorm outside had grown heavier, snow swirling around them in sparkling gusts. Ethan shivered in delight. It's like the town itself is celebrating our progress. Mason nodded. The lights are magical, yes, but they are also symbolic. Each one strengthens belief, unity, and courage among the people. The founder designed this carefully. Chloe glanced at the sky, and the stars are guiding us. Jackson grinned. I'll follow the stars as long as there's Coco waiting at the end. When they returned to the town square, the 6 lights of wonder glowed together brighter than ever. Snowflakes sparkled in the light, and the empty streets seemed alive. Windows reflected golden glows, and even the trees twinkled faintly. Ethan took a deep breath. We've made real progress. Winterdale is alive again, but I have a feeling the next challenges are going to be harder. Harper nodded. Yes, but we'll face them together. Always. Far away, hidden in the woods, a shadow watched the friends glowing faintly in the blue snowlight. They've passed the riddle, but soon the darkness will rise to test their courage like never before. Winterdale's magic was growing, and the next lights would demand more than just clever thinking or unity. The real trials were just beginning.
The morning after retrieving the 6th light, Winterdale seemed to glow brighter than ever. The 6 lights of wonder were now together in the town square, casting warmth across the snow-laden streets, shimmering in shop windows, and glinting off the bare trees. The townspeople were beginning to notice the change, smiling and speaking with renewed energy, though most still stayed indoors. Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson met at the cafe to plan their next move. The map from the abandoned library lay unfolded on the table, covered in scribbles and notes. The 7th light, Mason said, pointing at a new symbol on the map, is a pine cone. It's located deep within Whispering Woods, east of the town. Chloe shivered. Whispering Woods? That place always creeped me out. People say the trees talk. Jackson groaned dramatically. Of course they do. Great. We're going to a haunted forest in the middle of winter. Perfect. Harper rolled her eyes. We've faced worse. Remember the bell tower and the frozen maze? This is just another challenge. Ethan nodded. Exactly. Let's move. The sooner we find the 7th light, the stronger the town becomes. The forest lay ahead, dense and dark, with snow-laden branches that groaned under their weight. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying faint sounds that could almost be mistaken for voices. The friends stayed close together, boots crunching through fresh snow. Stay alert, Mason said quietly. The founder placed challenges in areas that are unusual. I have a feeling this light won't be easy. As they ventured deeper, the whispers grew louder. At first, it sounded like the wind, but soon the group realized the trees themselves seemed to be murmuring. Do you hear that? Chloe whispered. Jackson rolled his eyes. Yep, trees are chatting. Great. Can we talk back? Harper focused on the map. The pine cone symbol is marked at the center of the forest. We need to follow the path carefully. Don't stray from it. They navigated the winding forest paths, moving cautiously. The whispers seemed to guide them at times, but other moments they shifted, sounding like warnings. Mason held the map tightly. The founder said the forest would test perception. We need to trust each other. After a while, they reached a clearing. In the center stood an enormous pine tree, ancient and towering. Its branches spread wide, casting shadows in the snow, and at its base was a hollow with a faint golden glow inside. That has to be it, Harper whispered. Ethan stepped closer, but as soon as he did, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. The shadows of the trees seemed to shift, forming shapes that moved with them. Jackson swallowed nervously. Are these trees alive? Because I feel like they're watching us. Chloe stepped closer to Ethan. It's like the forest is testing us. Maybe we need to do something to show we're worthy. Mason examined the base of the tree. The hollow is protected. Look, there are carvings on the trunk, almost like instructions, but they're faint. Harper crouched down and traced the carvings with her gloved fingers. They depicted hands forming a circle,
light radiating outward. The pattern is familiar. The founder's lights respond to unity, heart, and intention. Maybe we have to join hands and focus together? Ethan nodded. All right, let's try it. They formed a circle around the hollow, placing their hands together and focusing on the warmth and light they wanted to bring to Winterdale. The whispers grew softer, almost approving, as they concentrated on hope, friendship, and unity. Slowly, the golden glow intensified. The hollow widened, revealing a wooden box containing the seventh light of wonder, a pinecone-shaped light shimmering with green and gold. Chloe gasped, "It's beautiful and warm." Ethan carefully lifted the box. We did it. Another light collected. But the moment they touched the box, the forest reacted. Branches twisted, snow swirled, and a faint shadow moved among the trees. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, forming words. Only those who walk with trust and courage may leave with the light. Harper tightened her grip on the box. We stay together. That's how we get through this. The forest paths began to shift, making it difficult to find the way back. Every turn seemed to lead them deeper into the woods. The trees loomed taller, and shadows danced across the snow. Jackson groaned. Perfect. A maze in a haunted forest. I love this. Mason focused on the map. Follow the path the founder intended. Look for the subtle markers, the carvings in the trees, the glowing patches in the snow. That's how we get out. Step by step, they navigated the forest, communicating constantly and staying close together. The golden glow of the pinecone light seemed to guide them, pulsing faintly whenever they made the right turn. Finally, they emerged from the forest, the trees behind them standing silently as if satisfied. Snowflakes drifted lazily around them, and the whispers faded into the wind. Harper breathed a sigh of relief. We made it! Chloe hugged the box tightly. That was intense. I've never felt anything like that. Ethan smiled. 7 down, 5 more to go. And Winterdale is already feeling the magic stronger than ever. Jackson grinned. And we survived the haunted forest. Barely. Next time, can a light just be on a street lamp? Mason laughed. No, the founder made this challenging for a reason. Each light tests more than just skill. It tests heart, courage, and unity. When they returned to the town square, the 7 lights of wonder glowed together brighter than ever. The combined warmth spread across the streets, shimmering in windows and reflecting off snow-covered trees. The effect was undeniable. Winterdale was beginning to feel alive again. Ethan took a deep breath. We've collected more than half the lights. The town is waking up. But I have a feeling the next challenges will be even harder. Harper nodded, her eyes shining. Yes, but we'll face them together. Always. As the friends left the square, the forest behind them seemed to watch silently. Far off, a shadowy figure lurked, its eyes glowing faintly in the distance. They've reached the 7th light, but the true tests of courage and heart are only beginning. Soon the darkness will rise to challenge them like never before. The adventure continued, and the magic of Winterdale grew stronger with each light of wonder.
Winterdale glistened under a pale morning sun, the town square alive with the soft glow of the 7 lights of wonder. Snow sparkled like diamonds across the rooftops, streets, and trees. The town was beginning to stir. Shopkeepers greeted customers with smiles, and children played freely in the snow. But the adventurers knew their mission was far from complete. Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson met once again at the cafe, studying the map that guided their journey. The 8th light, Mason said, tracing a new symbol. A snowflake surrounded by swirling lines is located on the frozen cliffs at Northwind Ridge. The pattern suggests it may be protected by weather or elemental magic. Chloe shivered. Frozen cliffs, and let me guess, it's going to be windy, snowy, and dangerous.
Jackson groaned dramatically. Perfect. More freezing cold. What's next? An avalanche? Harper rolled her eyes. Focus. We've handled ice, mazes, magical forests, and guardian spirits. This is just another challenge. Ethan nodded. Exactly. The sooner we retrieve it, the stronger Winterdale becomes. The climb to Northwind Ridge was steep and treacherous. Snow swirled violently around them, carried by fierce gusts of wind that cut through their coats. Icicles hung from cliffs like crystal daggers, and each step required careful footing to avoid slipping. This is going to be fun, Jackson muttered sarcastically, stomping through the snow. Chloe gritted her teeth. Shut up and walk. One wrong move and we could slide all the way down the ridge. Mason studied the map, tracing their path with a gloved finger. The eighth light placed here to test endurance and teamwork. Watch for natural markers. The ice formations and wind patterns will guide us. Harper squinted against the blowing snow. And let me guess, it's going to be freezing our noses off in the process. As they neared the top of the ridge, the wind picked up, creating swirling snowstorms that reduced visibility to mere feet. The faint glow of the eighth light could be seen far ahead, trapped in a circular ice formation atop a cliff. That has to be it, Ethan said, squinting through the storm. Mason nodded. But look at the surrounding ice. The winds are magically reinforced. This is a protective storm. We need to be careful. The group formed a line, linking hands to support one another against the gusts. Step by step, they moved forward, the icy ground slippery beneath their boots. The winds roared around them, carrying faint whispers like distant voices, almost as if the storm itself were speaking. Jackson shouted over the wind, I hate this. I hate wind, I hate snow, and I might be hypothermic. Chloe rolled her eyes. Then keep moving, no whining. Harper focused on the faint glow of the light ahead. The founder said these challenges test heart, courage, and unity. Stick together. Don't let the storm separate you. The ice formation around the light pulsed with magical energy, creating spinning barriers of frost. Mason studied the patterns. We need to approach at the right angle, using the pulses of the wind to shield us. If we mistime it, the ice will push us back, or worse. Ethan nodded. Let's move on 3. 1, 2, 3. They surged forward, stepping carefully as the gusts intensified. The pulses of magical wind buffeted them, almost knocking them off balance, but they pressed on, linking arms tightly. Slowly, they reached the center of the icy barrier. There, floating above a pedestal carved from crystal ice, was the eighth light of wonder. A snowflake surrounded by swirling frost, its glow shimmered with blue and silver magic. Chloe gasped. It's beautiful and freezing cold. Ethan carefully lifted the box containing the light. We need to get this back to Winterdale safely. Before they could retreat, the storm reacted. Gusts of magical wind swirled violently around them, forming icy spires that threatened to block their path. The whispers in the wind grew louder, almost menacing. Harper shouted over the storm, Hold on, we stick together, just like always. Mason guided the group through the gusts, using the rhythms of the wind to predict safe steps. Each pulse allowed them to advance a few feet, and each step required precise timing and focus. Jackson gritted his teeth. I am not built for magical snowstorms. Chloe laughed despite herself. Then don't fall. Finally, they emerged from the storm, exhausted but triumphant. The winds calmed, and the magical ice spires melted instantly, leaving the cliff serene and silent. The eighth light glowed warmly in Ethan's hands, its magic radiating even in the cold air. Harper tucked it carefully into the backpack with the other 7. 8 down, only 4 more lights to go. Ethan smiled. Winterdale is already feeling the magic stronger than ever. The town is waking up more with each light we return. Chloe nodded. It's amazing. I never thought a small town could feel alive again. Jackson exhaled loudly. And we survived the most insane snowstorm of my life. Barely. Next time, can the light just sit on a rooftop? Mason chuckled. No, the founder designed these challenges to push our limits, not to make life easy, but each one teaches us about courage, teamwork, and trust. When they returned to the town square, the 8 lights of wonder shone together, brighter than ever. Snowflakes danced in the magical glow, streets seemed alive, and windows reflected sparkling warmth. Ethan looked around in awe. Half the lights are now together. Winterdale feels alive, and the magic is growing. Harper nodded. Yes, but the next challenges will be harder. We need to be ready for anything. As the friends left the square, a shadow watched them from the ridge where the storm had raged. Its eyes glimmered faintly in the snow, and a low voice whispered, "They've overcome the storm, but soon the shadows will rise. The true test of courage begins when darkness falls." Winterdale's magic was awakening, and the coming lights would demand even greater courage, unity, and heart from the 5 friends.
The town of Winterdale had never felt more alive. The 8 lights of wonder shone brilliantly in the town square, casting a warm glow across streets, trees, and rooftops. The snow sparkled in their light, and a few townspeople had begun venturing out, curious and cautious, as the magic gradually awakened the town's spirit. Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson gathered at the cafe to plan the next step. The map lay spread before them, covered with their notes and markings. "The 9th light," Mason said, pointing to a new symbol, a moon surrounded by stars, "is located at the old Winterdale clock tower. According to the pattern, it only appears at night." Chloe shivered. "Nighttime, and probably freezing up there. I hate cold and I hate darkness. Why can't the lights be daytime friendly?" Jackson groaned dramatically. "Perfect! We've got ice, forests, cliffs, haunted mazes, and now midnight adventures. What's next? Dragons?" Harper rolled her eyes. "Focus. Night challenges are meant to test courage and perception. This one may be tricky, but we can handle it." Ethan nodded. "Exactly. The sooner we retrieve it, the stronger Winterdale becomes." As night fell, the friends approached the towering silhouette of the clock tower. The streets were empty, the snow reflecting the faint light of the stars. The tower loomed above them, its face cracked but still visible under the moonlight. Mason studied the map carefully. "The 9th light only appears when the moon is high. We need to wait until midnight when the alignment is perfect. The founder designed it this way to test patience and observation." Harper glanced up at the sky. "We're almost there. Midnight will be soon. Stay alert." The group huddled near the base of the tower, waiting as the minutes ticked by. The wind whispered softly, carrying faint echoes of laughter and music long past. Finally, the moon reached its peak, and a faint silvery glow appeared near the top of the tower. "There it is," Ethan whispered, "the 9th light." Chloe squinted through the falling snow. "It's up there? How do we reach it?" Jackson groaned. "Great. Climbing at midnight. Perfect." Mason examined the tower carefully. "There's a spiral staircase inside. It's old but stable. We'll need to climb carefully, step by step." Harper led the way, carefully opening the creaking door. Inside, the staircase wound upward, narrow and steep. Snow had blown in through broken windows, dusting each step. The climb was slow, and the wind howled through gaps in the tower walls, chilling them to the bone. "Keep going," Harper encouraged. "The light is close." Halfway up, the staircase grew narrower, and shadows stretched along the walls, flickering in the faint glow from outside. Ethan kept a hand on the railing, focusing on the light at the top. Finally, they reached a landing beneath the clock mechanism. Gears and cogs creaked as they moved, and a faint silver light shimmered from the center of the room. The 9th light of wonder floated above a small pedestal.
It was shaped like a crescent moon, surrounded by tiny stars, glowing with soft, silvery magic. Chloe gasped. "It's beautiful and magical." Ethan stepped closer. "We just need to reach it carefully. The founder's magic responds to focus and heart." Before they could take the light, a sudden chill swept through the room. Shadows stretched across the walls, twisting and forming shapes that moved as if alive. A voice echoed softly, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. "Only those who face the night without fear may take the light and bring wonder near." Harper squared her shoulders. "Stay calm. We've faced challenges before. Together, we can do this." They formed a circle around the pedestal, linking hands, and focused on Winterdale and the warmth they wished to bring to the town. The silvery glow pulsed in response, expanding slowly, surrounding them in a protective light. Jackson whispered dismally, "I don't like this. I don't like this at all." Chloe laughed softly. "Just focus on the light, not your fear." Step by step, the glow of the moon-shaped light responded to their unity. Slowly, it floated into a small box at their feet, glowing even brighter than before. The shadows recoiled, as if respecting their courage. Mason smiled. "It worked. 9 down, only 3 lights to go." Ethan lifted the box carefully. "The magic is getting stronger. Winterdale will soon be fully restored." Harper tucked the 9th light into the backpack with the others. "The town is already feeling the effects. Each light we return strengthens the magic and our resolve." As the friends descended the staircase, the clock tower groaned but remained stable. Snow swirled outside, and the night sky sparkled with stars. When they returned to the town square, the 9 lights of wonder shone together brighter than ever. The silvery glow from the 9th light mingled with the golden, blue, and green glows from the others, illuminating the streets, shop windows, and trees in a magical spectrum. Ethan looked around in awe. "We're almost there. Winterdale is waking up and the magic is growing." Harper nodded, determination shining in her eyes. "Yes, but the last 3 challenges will be the hardest. We need to be ready for anything." Chloe smiled softly. "It's amazing. The town feels alive again, and it's all because of the lights. And us." Jackson exhaled dramatically. "And I survived a midnight climb in a haunted clock tower. Barely." Mason chuckled. "The founder designed these lights to test heart, courage, and unity. Each step teaches us something important, and the next challenges will demand more." As the friends left the square, the shadows of the clock tower stretched across the snow, silent and watchful. Far off, a dark figure observed the group, its eyes gleaming faintly in the moonlight. "They have taken the 9th light," the voice whispered, "but the true trials are yet to come. Soon, darkness will rise to challenge them beyond anything they have faced." Winterdale's magic was awakening fully, but the final lights would demand more than courage, unity, and fear.
Winterdale glowed softly under the combined light of 9 lights of wonder. Snowflakes sparkled as they drifted through the air, and the warmth from the lights seemed to chase away the usual winter chill. The townspeople were beginning to notice. Shopkeepers waved to each other, and children laughed as they played in the soft glow of the magical lights. Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson gathered at the cafe once more, ready to pursue the 10th light. The map was spread across the table, covered in notes and scribbles marking their progress. "The 10th light," Mason said, pointing to a new symbol, a dark crystal encased in swirling shadows, "is located in the abandoned Winterdale Manor on Blackwood Hill. According to the pattern, this one will test courage more than any other." Chloe shivered. "Abandoned manor? I thought haunted forests and icy cliffs were enough. Now we're going to a creepy mansion? No thanks." Jackson groaned dramatically. "Of course, everything's haunted or frozen. Why can't the lights be on a nice sunny lawn?" Harper rolled her eyes. "Focus. This light is essential. The town depends on us, and the founder designed challenges for a reason. We've come this far, we can handle it." Ethan nodded. "Exactly. Let's move. The sooner we get it, the stronger Winterdale becomes." The climb to Blackwood Hill was steep and shadowed, with skeletal trees lining the path. Snow crunched under their boots, and the air was heavy with cold, mist, and an eerie silence. The manor loomed ahead, a grand but crumbling structure with broken windows and doors slightly ajar. Mason studied the map carefully. The 10th light is likely inside, but be aware, the founder designed this to test bravery. Expect illusions, shadows, and traps. Harper pushed open the heavy front door. It groaned loudly, echoing through the empty halls. The interior smelled of aged wood, dust, and something faintly metallic. Moonlight filtered through the broken windows, casting long shadows on the cracked floor. Jackson whispered, "Yep, creepy, totally creepy." Chloe nudged him. "Stop whining. We've faced worse. Just stay close." They navigated the dark corridors, stepping carefully over fallen furniture and broken tiles. Every shadow seemed to stretch and shift, moving as if alive. Faint whispers echoed through the halls, carrying words that made the hairs on their necks stand up. Finally, they reached a large ballroom. The floor was cracked, and the walls were faded with portraits. In the center stood a pedestal, and atop it floated the 10th light of wonder, a dark crystal encased in swirling shadow. Its glow pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. Ethan stepped forward. There it is, the 10th light. Before they could approach, the shadows in the room stirred. Dark, wraith-like shapes formed, swirling around them, moving with a life of their own. The whispers grew louder, forming words that chilled the blood. Only those who confront darkness without fear may claim the light and bring hope near. Harper squared her shoulders. We stay together. We've faced every challenge so far. This is just another test. The group linked hands, forming a circle around the pedestal. They focused on Winterdale, on the warmth, hope, and magic they wanted to restore, letting their courage rise above the fear. The dark shapes lunged at them, but instead of attacking, they recoiled, as if responding to the strength of their hearts. The light in the crystal pulsed brighter, pushing the shadows back. Chloe whispered, "It's responding to our courage." Jackson gritted his teeth. "Great, fighting shadows with heart. Totally normal." Step by step, they advanced, the crystal glowing brighter with each step. Slowly, the swirling shadows parted, and the crystal descended into a small box at their feet, glowing with warm, magical energy. Mason smiled. It worked. 10 down. Only 5 lights remain. Ethan lifted the box carefully. The magic is growing stronger. Winterdale will soon be fully restored. Harper tucked the 10th light into the backpack with the others. The town is already feeling the effects. The more lights we return, the stronger the magic and our resolve. As they left the manor, the shadows dissolved, and the halls seemed empty once more. Snow swirled outside, and the night sky reflected the combined glow of the 10 lights in the town below. When they returned to the town square, the 10 lights of wonder shone together, brighter than ever. The dark crystal's glow mingled with the golden, blue, green, and silver lights of the others, casting a magical spectrum across streets, shop windows, and trees. Ethan looked around in awe. We've collected 10 lights. Winterdale is waking up, and the magic is stronger than ever. Harper nodded, her eyes fierce with determination. Yes, but the last 5 challenges will be the hardest. We need to be ready for anything. Chloe smiled softly. It's amazing. The town feels alive again, and it's all because of the lights, and us. Jackson exhaled dramatically. And we survived a haunted manor. Barely. Next time, can the light just sit on a tree branch? Mason chuckled. No, the founder designed these lights to test heart, courage, and unity. Each challenge teaches us something essential. The final lights will demand everything we have and more.
Far off in the shadows of Blackwood Hill, a dark figure observed the friends. Its eyes glimmered faintly, and a low, menacing voice echoed. They have claimed the 10th light, but the final trials are coming. Soon darkness will rise in full force to challenge them beyond anything they have faced. Winterdale's magic was awakening fully, and the coming lights would demand not just courage, unity, and heart, but strength, wisdom, and resilience against the growing shadows. The 5 friends had survived 10 challenges, but the real trials were only beginning.
Snow fell softly over Winterdale as the 10 lights of wonder glowed in the town square. Their colors blended into a warm, magical aura that spread through every street, every house, and every heart. The town was nearly restored. Only one light remained. One final spark needed to complete the ancient tradition and revive Winterdale's full Christmas magic. Ethan, Harper, Mason, Chloe, and Jackson gathered near the fountain, the glowing lights reflecting in their eyes. The map lay open, the last symbol pulsing faintly, a bright star surrounded by a soft, golden halo. Mason traced the symbol carefully. This is it, the final light. The map says it's hidden in Crystal Heart Cave, deep beneath Winterdale's hills. Chloe hugged her arms. Please tell me this cave isn't full of monsters. Jackson muttered, or freezing water, or giant magical snow spiders? Harper smirked. We've already survived icy cliffs, haunted manors, magical storms, and shadow creatures. Whatever's down there, we can handle it. Ethan nodded. This is our final challenge. Let's finish what we started. The path to Crystal Heart Cave was hidden beneath layers of snow. They followed Mason's map, weaving through pine forests and across frozen streams until they reached a small opening in the hillside. Soft light pulsed from within, as if guiding them. Inside, the cave sparkled with crystal formations glowing faintly blue. Frozen walls shimmered like diamonds, and the air felt strangely warm, not cold, not threatening, but peaceful. It's beautiful, Chloe whispered. As they walked deeper, the path widened into a large cavern. At the center stood a crystal pedestal. At atop it floated the final light of wonder, a radiant golden star, brighter than any they had seen. Ethan stepped forward. We found it, the last light. But before he could reach it, the cavern trembled. Shadows slithered from the cracks in the walls, swirling into shape. The dark figure that had followed them through every challenge finally revealed itself, tall, cloaked, and surrounded by swirling darkness. Its eyes glowed like cold embers. "You have come far," the figure whispered, voice echoing like icy wind. But Winterdale's magic was not meant to be reclaimed so easily. Jackson gulped. Guys, we've got a problem. The shadow raised a hand and the cavern dimmed. I am the keeper of doubt. I guard the final light. Only those with hearts strong enough to defeat their greatest fears may claim it. The cavern walls rippled, and suddenly the 5 friends were surrounded by scenes that felt too real. Ethan saw Winterdale covered in darkness, everyone losing hope again. Harper saw herself failing her friends, unable to protect them. Mason saw himself lost in endless puzzles he couldn't solve. Chloe saw herself alone, abandoned, unheard. Jackson saw himself helpless in danger, unable to act. The illusions pressed on their minds, whispering fear, doubt, and failure. Harper gritted her teeth. These aren't real. The keeper's voice echoed. Fear grows when you face it alone. Ethan reached out and grabbed Harper's hand, then Mason's, then Chloe's, then Jackson's. Together, Ethan said, voice steady, we've overcome every challenge because we stood as one. Fear only wins if we let it. Harper tightened her grip. We're stronger than this. Mason lifted his chin. We trust each other. Chloe wiped her eyes. We're not alone. Jackson took a deep breath. And I'm not a coward.
Not anymore. The moment they united, the illusions cracked like breaking glass. Light burst from their joined hands, bright and warm, flooding the cavern. The Keeper of Doubt staggered back, its shadowy form flickering. "You have heart," it whispered. "You carry unity. You carry hope." With a final shudder, the figure dissolved into sparkles of fading shadow. The cavern brightened once more. The golden star descended gently, glowing brighter than any of the previous lights. Its warmth filled the room, touching each of them like a soft, reassuring hand. Ethan lifted the light. "The last one," he whispered. Harper smiled softly. "Let's take it home." The return journey was quiet, but filled with anticipation. When they reached the town square, the 10 lights shone like a welcoming path for the final star. Ethan placed the 11th light in the center. The moment it touched the pedestal, the lights erupted into a burst of color. Gold, silver, blue, green, and red spiraled into the sky, creating a massive Christmas star above Winterdale. The entire town glowed with newfound warmth. Windows lit up, doors opened, families stepped outside, marveling at the magical display filling the sky. The founders' ancient Christmas magic flowed through Winterdale once more, reviving traditions, filling hearts with hope, and turning the town into the brightest place of the season. Chloe wiped a tear. We did it," Jackson grinned. "We actually did it, and I didn't die even once." Mason admired the shining sky. "The founders' magic lives again thanks to all of us." Harper looked at her friends. "This wasn't just a quest. We changed Winterdale forever." Ethan smiled at them all. "And we changed ourselves too." The townspeople gathered around, cheering, thanking, and celebrating the 5 young heroes who brought Christmas back to Winterdale. And under the glowing Christmas star, surrounded by warmth, laughter, and joy, the adventure finally came to its beautiful end. Winterdale was whole again, the lights of wonder were restored, and Christmas had returned brighter than ever.